I'm going to do a passage reading from the novel The Future of Us. It's by Jay Ashker and Caroline McLear. And today I'm actually going to read for you the last scene in the novel. So this can be found on page 356 of the novel. It is in the very last chapter, and that is chapter 65, and it's from Josh's perspective. So the book concludes with his thoughts. And I think that this last passage is a really great passage. It's a little bit short, but I think it's got a lot of good meaning and thought-provoking questions that come from it. So I'm going to go ahead and read it for you, and then I have a couple questions that I'd like to ask. So, in a way, I'm glad Facebook's gone, Emma says. I hated obsessing about what I didn't want in my future. It's better to focus on what you do want, I say. Her lips part slightly. I'm starting to figure that out. But I'd love to know, I say, leaning in closer, what this will change. I feel her breath on my lips as we both whisper, hopefully everything. So that's how the whole book concludes. So you're left with this scene where Josh and Emma are about to kiss for the first time since all of this has started to happen. They were childhood best friends back in the day. Then they kind of had a little bit of falling out. They weren't really as close. And then once this whole Facebook thing started up, that brought them even closer. So one of the questions is when Emma says that she is in a way glad that Facebook is gone. It was the very first line. She says, in a way, I'm glad Facebook's gone. She says, I hated obsessing about what I didn't want in my future. I'm just wondering how much you buy that line. After reading this whole novel, you will understand how obsessed Emma was with making changes in her current life to see what those effects would be in her future. So she would purposely not do things. One example was she purposely decided that she wasn't going to go to the college that she had always wanted to go to just because she thought that if she went there, she would end up marrying who Facebook said she was married to, and just based off of her Facebook statuses, she decided that she did not like that guy, and so she was not going to apply to that school. So she took her Facebook very seriously. She started to make life-altering changes in her current life. And so I was just wondering if you really do believe when she says that she's glad that it's gone. Or do you think maybe that's just her kind of saying that to make herself kind of think that? Maybe she's just saying it because she knows that Josh was kind of annoyed with it. He didn't take it as seriously as Emma did, so maybe she was just trying to say that so that this scene could happen and they could have a relationship. The other thing I'm interested in knowing is, did you see their relationship coming? Or did you maybe think that it was too good to be true? They live next door to each other, they go to the same school, they had some of the same friends. Was it all too perfect for the book to end like this? Or were you surprised by it? Maybe you didn't see it coming. On Facebook at times, they were not on one another's friends list because of fights that they were having. So maybe you didn't even think that they would talk ever again. So were you surprised by the ending, or did you see that it was coming? These are just two of the questions that I thought were kind of interesting to talk about. It's kind of interesting to hear what everybody else has to say about them. As far as the first question goes, I'm not really so sure that I believe Emma when she says that she's glad Facebook is gone. I think that the whole novel is based around her obsessing with it, based on her making changes to her current life, to affect her future life, and so I'm just not sure that I really, truly believe that she's glad it's gone. Maybe she's glad because she's got a little bit less to worry about, but I'm not so sure that I believe her in that aspect. And then as far as Josh and Emma's relationship at the end, I kind of saw it coming, but then at times I kind of didn't see it because at times during the novel, like I said, Josh, for example, wasn't on Emma's friends list, and then sometimes he was. So it kind of kept going back and forth between being friends or not being friends. And so overall, I think I did see it coming. I think it was a little bit perfect in that aspect that they were both neighbors, they grew up together, their families knew one another. It kind of just, it seemed like it was meant to be that way. However, during the book, there were some scenes when they stopped talking or they had a huge fight, and it was kind of like, ooh, I don't know, are they going to be friends again or are they not going to be? But I think in the end, this was the ending that I was expecting to have. So these are just some of the questions. I also think this passage makes a great point about needing to live in the future. I'm sorry, live in the present and not worry about living in the future. If you were constantly worrying about the future, then your present life would be miserable. You probably would be very worried about every little decision that you would make, and it just wouldn't be a great life that you'd be living because you would not be living in the present day. And I think this last passage kind of presents that point, and this is a theme that runs throughout the whole novel as well. So those are some things to think about, and I hope you enjoyed it.